Welcome back to the Awakening Conversations podcast. My name is Kate and I'm here with my co-host Amanda. And today we are talking about truth. Because when the Epstein list was officially declared non-existent, something shifted. Not just in the media or politics, but deep in the collective psyche. And so in this episode, we are going to explore why this moment marks a profound turning point in our human evolution. We're going to talk about the death of the small self, the collapse of the illusion, and the rise of a new truth frequency. This is about us recognizing that the system is unfortunately built on lies and that those lies live within us too. We're going to unpack the emotional, energetic, and spiritual layers of this moment in time and how it's inviting each of us into radical honesty, even grief, and profound healing. Amanda, this is truly a crazy time for us to be living in, I feel, and we've discussed this a lot in, recent episodes, that it's like every week is, here's this, but this particular, time in history and this, what's felt like very long wait for, this whole situation to be wrapped up and exposed, and then to get this there's no list. The memes, personally, I found very funny because it's there's no list. Oh, there's no list. And then, all the photos of the people. And I think that was just like being slapped with a wet fish and, everybody felt it. Everybody's just like, how can they say that? How can you stand there and say that? And we've spoken a lot in recent episodes, especially even last week, about that feeling we have in our bodies when we're told something that isn't true, and that sensation. I feel like this particular event caused one even deeper. If we really needed another opportunity to feel something viscerally where we're not being told the truth and something is a lie, this really had a good crack at that for people.
Yeah, very well said. And I think that we are in it. We are in this moment that I think has quite significance from a historical and evolutionary perspective, because things are happening in ways that we've never seen before, both, I think, spiritually, but also even within the quote unquote 3D world. And so I feel like we are at a turning point right now, and we're in it, and we might feel like, we've been in unprecedented times for a while now, but I feel like it's been leading here. It's been leading to this realization that there's something dark underlying those that we have given our power away to, that we've looked to as authority figures, and the illusion is shattering. And I think, so we're going to start with a video here that we both thought explained really well. What does this moment mean for us in terms of our own growth and healing and evolution, both individually and collectively? So do you want to introduce it, Kate?
Yeah, so we're going to watch a video by Kyle Cease, where he's going to explain to us really eloquently, as you said, this idea of what's breaking apart in ourselves, what we're feeling, and then we're going to have a chat about that after.
I was on the fence on if I was going to talk about this in a video separate or to you guys right now. And I actually do feel I will just say it. I believe that I'm going to say something controversial and even political, but I believe that the cover-up of the Epstein list this week is the beginning of our revolution. I believe very much that we're moving to a time of truth, and this truth is coming to light no matter what. The truth of everything is coming to light no matter what. In the past, we used to be a group of people on one side against a group of people on another side. And right now we're moving to a time where no matter what you feel politically or who you think is on that list, you want it out. And the reason you want it out is because the world is you. And we're having a hard time functioning with a really loud, dark, painful lie in myself. We're having a hard time moving forward because that issue seems like it doesn't involve me, but it involves me completely. And humanity, no matter what side you're on, is moving together and saying, we get you guys are a club. We get, no matter what political side you are as a club, we now see that completely. And we are uniting together. And it doesn't matter what side you're on, you want the truth out. You want the truth out because if it doesn't come out, then you understand that you're going to continue to have a world that's governed by people who are being blackmailed to literally control and hurt us. And unfortunately for those people, we're moving to a consciousness where that won't work anymore. So it doesn't matter what politician covers something up. It doesn't matter. We're in a frequency that's too high for that. And we won't just go, oh, you covered it up. You said it's not true when we've all studied it or heard about it or talked about it for years and years and years. Unfortunately for you, we're in a frequency of truth, and truth is an even higher frequency than love. Because in the past, love was not measured as truth. It was measured as kindness no matter what, while still denying truth, which actually makes a love that's based on fear. And we're now moving to a love that's based on truth. This is really, really, really big. We're moving to a frequency of truth. Everything that isn't true must come to light. And if it stays repressed, then the truth will still be discovered. It'll still happen. And it's not about it just coming to light. It's that we will move to a frequency where we've outgrown your lying frequency. And in a world where truth tellers have been repressed by not truth, now not truth is going to be repressed by truth. Amber said something profound, which is if you won't tell the truth, we're going to start shutting you up because we don't want a world based on lies. We want a world based on truth. And we're moving to a frequency where truth must come to light. And when Trump said there's no list at all, no one believed that. And when he said that, all of a sudden, Epstein was Googled 1,200% more this last week. And all of a sudden, all sides are together going, we don't know who's on the list and we don't understand. And instead of us being like, your political side's on the list or mine, it's just show it. And now all of a sudden, you have 3,000 scared people that are not in the truth, trying to keep their small self alive while we outgrow it. While we say, we're about truth. You're on the wrong planet. If you want to have a denialism consciousness, we'll go back to this. You can go back to the 60s where it was about small selves protecting themselves and allowing us to just believe whatever you say about JFK or believe that Pearl Harbor was exactly what it was and no one questioned anything. Unfortunately for you, we're in a frequency of truth. We're in a frequency where even what's not true in us, the shame in us, our small self, must fall out in this time.
So there's so much that he said there in that very short part that I feel like really resonates. And I think that very last piece that he spoke to there of like, we're not living in the past anymore, where we really just would let the authority be like, oh, this is what's happened. Let's move on. Let's continue. And really, as I said, as I introduced this episode, like there was a depth to this particular lie that we all felt so physically, and as he said, it's seeing the lie in such a different way. Like, but we hold that lie ourselves. Is that what I think that's how he explained it. But what I wanted to say to that is like, if we've ever held a lie that we've told, it's hard to physically keep that lie in. We know what a lie feels like, right? I've told lies. And I know what that physically feels like to hold an untruth in my body. And I think that's what we recognized this week, or when this came out, is like the depth and the feeling of that is a lie, like big red flag. This isn't truth. And I think it's almost like I get the sensation of an explosion, and I feel it when I describe it of like, whoa, like look who is up there telling us this blatant lie as if we're going to buy it. And then there's like, you're mentally just standing here going like, what the actual? Is this the reality that we're living in? How have we gotten ourselves here? And I think, as he says, like, this is a really powerful moment for us to be like awakening. It's, if we needed another edge, if we needed another opportunity, like these are the big explosions. I just keep getting these feelings of like, boom, boom, crack you open. How much more can our physical bodies begin to take, when we're feeling so much that's out of alignment, that is, bringing up that stuff for us. And as he said, where we're going in truth is that all of those feelings, our lies, other people's lies, society's lies, cannot come to that high frequency. As we do, there is a shift. We've talked about this many times. There's a literal frequency shift happening. And this is what is happening. All this lower vibrational stuff is coming up. Like, it can't move with us. And it's being displayed in our world of like how things have been so corrupt, and who's pulling the strings, how connected that might be, and what the actual
F. Yeah. I mean, I am, I watch a lot of alternative political stuff. And so something that I've heard said is like, this is a time unlike any that we've been through as of yet. And it feels a little bit surreal that it's here. I'll just share that I had a light bulb experience back in 2020, and I shared this video with Kate, but it was a BQH session, Beyond Quantum Healing session. And I took this piece from it that it so made an impact on me and spoke to me. And interestingly, I went back recently and re-listened to it, and it was just really a small part of this video, but like that was the main message that it was this really loud message. And it was the message was that the collective awakening, there's going to be this collective like scream or collective roar when the information about the children comes to light. There is going to be, so for some who do not know anything about this is going to be such a hard experience to go through, to learn the reality of what's been happening to children at the behest of those in power. And I really didn't know anything about it at the time. And that night I had this like dream that told me who was behind it. It wasn't actually a dream. It was a message that like woke me up, which I've never had before. And I knew nothing about that, the source behind this. And over the last 5 years, I've started to realize. And so for me, I imagine if this is to learn about it right now, like that's got to be a huge shock and a huge grief to just like learn about it in this moment in time, all at once. And it kind of be so in your face, and it's the big topic of discussion. And I guess what I saw and I understood was like, this is the thing that's going to be big enough to wake so many people up that have not been able to awaken, right? Like 2020 happened and nope, I was still giving my power away I still believe those in power have my best interests at heart. But this is something, it's like when, what he said, it's like all sides are on the same side. And it's like what comes to mind is that meme where you have these, people, old guys in suits playing the game. The board game is on top of the backs of the people. And the saying is that all we have to do is stand up and the game is over, right? And so realizing the power that we have to change things, it begins now, I feel. It's like recognizing that, and I'm going to talk about Trump here because, I didn't vote for Trump, but he is a huge part of this awakening process because so many people thought that he was going to reveal this swamp, this power structure that has been protected for so long. People believe that he was going to bring light to it, and he is bringing light to it, but just not in the way that people imagined, right? They thought that he was going to be the one to, and maybe this is some crazy, like over the top way of that he is bringing to light, because maybe he can't for some reason fully speak it for whether it's like his protection, his family's protection. And so in a way, he's exposing it by doing it so over the top in the other direction. And what's so cool is that people who have followed him, have been so loyal to him, are like, nope, you are lying. Like, we see through this lie. You can no longer play us in this way. And so now it's like, okay, what happens when you start to see this huge lie? It's like, you have to start questioning everything that you believe. And so it's like this whole egoic death of what is reality, what is truth. And that's what's going, like, this is the beginning of that process of beginning to realize what is truth. So I'll stop there.
Yeah, I think, let me see where I want to go with that. I've always thought too that whether you voted for Trump or not, the fact that he got in, he is the catalyst for awakening. Whether he's doing that directly through his choices to make things come to light, to expose them, to actually create a change, or by not, right? So he, in my opinion, from the outside, is just like the energy of that guy, the just who he represents, what he is, how he operates. It's going to be a major catalyst for change, just whether it's from the debris of what he does or doesn't do, or what he actually does do or doesn't do. And, you know, we talked about Mark Gaffney last week, and how either, you know, he's here with the sole purpose of just being evil, or he's just here to show us what evil is. You know, sometimes these people come in and it's our opportunity to see what they represent, to see how they operate, and to be the ones then that take our power back by saying, okay, I see through the lie, I see through the story, I see through the evil, I see how I give away my power, I see how that disempowers me to just roll over and believe anything that you say. And that's what we really saw with this, was just like, I don't know, my mind goes blank, because it's kind of like, how stupid do you think people are? How dumb do you think we are? And then that's almost like an insult. Then it's like, well, that's how dumb they think we are. So how's that for like handing you back your power? How's that for an opportunity to go, wow, is this what governments think of me? Is this really what, you know, these people that I vote for or don't vote for, or just this structure thinks of me, that I will just like eat it up like pie? Humble pie, is that what they say? You know, like humble pie, is that the saying? But I mean, seriously, like, yeah, what an opportunity to have that experience for ourselves of like what it feels like to have a lie told to us through people that we give our power to, and then say, okay, well, the question I always ask is, what do I do now? What do I do with that? And as you said, it's like, now we take action. So what kind of action do we do? What kind of choices are we making here? Like, how do we begin to use this time? And I always want to come back to action. Like, what do we do now to actually be going, okay, well, he lied about that. I know what you're going to say, actually. You're going to say, well, what else is a lie? What else is a lie? What else can we question? You know, like, it's such an unraveling process. And as you said too, for you had an awareness of this for a long time. For so many people, it's going to be like like I said, that wet fish slapped in the face. For some, it's going to feel like big old plank of wood. This is a challenging time for us to be moving through. And I just think I want to say, just to wrap this bit up, is that if you've already been on this track for a while and you're starting to see your friends and family feeling like they've been hit by a 2x4, this is your responsibility. And here's your action piece, is to be there for them, to help them understand what it is that they're experiencing, what they're going through, help them mentally, help them energetically, help them emotionally process this challenging time that we're going through. And I think that's a bit of the responsibility piece that we have, is if we've got the awareness, like, we've got to reach out our hand to the more and more people who are going to find this whole time so challenging.
Yeah, well said. And I just want to say, I didn't vote for anyone because I've opted out of the political system since I saw it in 2016. And so realizing that these are not the entities that are going to solve the problems that we face, and recognizing that we need to build, I had to stop paying attention from a doomsday perspective of like, oh, it's so effed, like, to what is the life that I want to create. And so where can I take back my power, and what are these systems can I opt out of? And, I've opted out a lot of systems that I don't agree with, I don't align with, I don't believe have my best interests or the best interests of my family. And then it's like, it's a whole process of like beginning to unpack, like, what is the programming that I've been operating on through my schooling, through my society, that's kept me in a, I guess, oppressed state, a place where I was deferring to authority and looking for a savior outside of myself, and instead realizing that, unlearning that, releasing that energy and that programming from within my body. And it's an ongoing process, right? It's not because it's like a lifetime of programming. And for me, part of that's been living in another country, right? Maybe it'll be easier now, like doing it from within the United States. But I felt like for so long, I was just constantly like going against the grain. I feel like much of my life, I was going against the grain, but really, it was such a relief to leave the culture, so then I could really look at it from the outside in to see what's truth, what's a lie, like things that are so ingrained. Like when we first landed in Costa Rica, I remember recognizing this just constant heightened level of stress that was just normal. And so it was like baseline stress of like level 4 stress was just like normal. And then like when stress is activated. And all the ways that society perpetuates these feelings of stress and not enoughness and, limitation and scarcity, how it's like coming in from all angles very unconsciously. And it's like the water that I was swimming in. And so for me, it was, starting to explore all of those, what I believed, what I thought was normal, what I thought was truth, and beginning to look at it from an outside in perspective. And like you said, challenge what's real, what's not real, question the things that I've been told that I thought, I was operating on this truth, and now what changes as a result of that, that truth caused me to live in this way. But if that truth is not true, how do I want to live my life? How do I want to operate? How do I want to do things differently? And so it's kind of like realizing that our realities have been built on this like house of cards, and, and so it's this death process that we are going to be going through on a collective level, to have to allow this version of ourselves, this version of our reality to die. And then what do we want to build in its place?
And this is really what Kyle was speaking to there, of the small self and us moving into truth. And the small self is the ego self, built on all of these things that we've come to say, this is who I am, this is how I operate, our beliefs, our structures, our limitations, the programming with which we live through. And that is what's breaking away, is us realizing that so much of what we've, come to understand about who we are is a set of ideas, and there's a control mechanism within that. We're much more free to choose. And that doesn't mean that we have to like completely buck the system, but that there are, I don't know, it always come back to there's the way we've been told, like, this is the linear path of life, birth, school, degree, house, kids, car, nothing wrong with it. But that's it. And like, just so many of us choose that. But there can also be this broader array of choices, and how we can create ways to live, be, do, serve each other, have community, have economy, things like that. Because the more that we keep seeing these things come to life or to light, what we're realizing is that there's such a, so many people that are benefiting right up the top there from that being the only way that we govern things and the only way that we operate, and that they're benefiting financially, essentially. And then you look at the rest of us, how that's working out for so many people, not so good, and that's that freedom piece, it's the truth piece, is we're realizing like just that structure. And I mean, as I said before, my own awakening has been that realization of the ego. And it was like so shocking to me to see how I had, really bought into a story. And it was just a belief, a small belief that just ballooned into a fear and a narrative about my reality. And then when it was gone, I was like, well, it's so different, and it's such a hard process to go through, because you feel like, how could I be so blind for so long? And it's confronting and empowering at the same time. But that transition from realizing, this way that I had, distorted way I'd seen my life, myself, the world, to then realizing that's not true. There's that liminal space in the middle of like, well, what is? But we have the space, and that's where that body piece and that feeling piece comes back in of, well, this feels different to what these constructs and, beliefs feel like, because there's so much pain in all of that stuff. There's so much suffering. There's so much stress, anxiety, worry. And then in the truth of things, it feels so different. We can access, a sense of groundedness and peace, even when things seem crazy around us, because we know ourselves in a different way, and we know what feels more aligned, what feels more truthful. And I mean, that is the big thing we're moving towards, is this sense of, I don't know, I just keep seeing it as like the house of cards burning to the ground, and the path off over here is just this open field of, we get to create something else, and I don't really know where I was going with that, but that's where I got to. Anything you want to add on that?
Yeah. A lot of things came up. Let's see where I want to start. Yeah, I think my sense from a lot of people is that they're living the life that they have been told is what is success, is what a happy life is. And yet so many people are struggling and internalizing it as there's something wrong with them. Mm-hmm. Whether it's with the diagnosable mental health condition, depression, anxiety, or just a level of operating with this sense of stress that I need to keep on holding all these, like juggling all these balls in the air, chasing these carrots in life. And because society has programmed us that is the way to a happy and successful life. And yet a lot of people feel, whether they consciously recognize it or not, that something is not working. And like I said, they might internalize it as being something wrong with them, but it's really a set of rules that maybe it is a great option for some, but for so many, it means what we've talked about before through the schooling process, is that we abandon who we are to conform to this very limited status quo way of being. And we suppress who we are, what we came here to do, and to become the individual that we came here to be. And so something that I heard recently said, I think it was Teal Swan who said this, is that the boomer generation and the millennials she's never seen so much tension. Like there's so much tension between these generations. And I thought that was quite interesting, because I think I've felt that tension from people in my family specifically, where it's like me deciding to reject the normal for myself. The normal pathway is like, they don't understand it. It's like an insult, like that's never been said, but it's like I felt it, like they don't quite understand what I'm doing. And so, but it's like they were following a playbook that resulted in a comfortable life, right? But the millennials are following that playbook and they're not happy, and they're not experiencing the same level of financial abundance by following that playbook. And so, before it was like, yeah, just sacrifice like what you truly want to do for this comfortable life. And now it's like, yeah, follow the playbook, and life's not comfortable and I'm not happy. And it's like, maybe you could sacrifice what fulfills you for security. And that's no longer available to this younger generation that's coming up. And so they're rejecting that roadmap. And in a way, it's like, not all, but some of that older generation is like, well, what are you doing? Like, that's your ticket to security. And so there's this tension where maybe some millennials are not deviating because they feel this pressure from maybe people, their family, their parents, or whatever, to follow that pathway. And so it's creating this tension, where maybe the younger generation financially, like, they need financial help because it's a struggle to do it on their own. And there's probably shame as far as, why it's not working out. And so another thing that's related to this is that I was watching a video about home ownership. This is specifically in the United States, but I imagine there's a version of this elsewhere. But the generation like 25 to 35, the reality of home ownership is not possible for a large swath of that generation. And as I was listening, I'm like, oh, this is awful. This is terrible. Like, and it's easy to look at it from that vantage point, or in that way, from where we currently are in this moment in time of like, because that is the old model as far as the American dream being home ownership. That is what worth and status and security, that's a symbol. And I was thinking, well, maybe there is a reason why that is not as attainable for most anymore, because it's this pathway to allowing people to begin to question what it is that, do they really want that? Is that really what they're here to do, is just work, buy a house, settle in that house. And for, like, having a home is a wonderful thing. And I'm not saying that it's not, but I think that it's this illusion that has been sold. It was sold in like post World War II in the United States as this idea of what success means. And what happens when that illusion, what are we striving for, I guess, essentially, like, and so we have that causes us to start questioning kind of like, what's this event that we're going through right now is causing. And so there are all these things that are causing us to reevaluate what it is that we're doing. Do we want to continue forward? And I don't know how I got here exactly, but it's all connected. It's all like this whole like disintegration of our reality. If we're just looking at it from like sadness and grief of us not being able to do what the old way tells us is the way to do it, or like it's causing us to reevaluate how we're living our lives.
Yeah. We're seeing the illusion, right? The illusion, and that is the awakening. That is the ego death part. That is how we have, like, it's just in the way I think of it, like I said, seeing my ego in action. It's like this vision we put out in front of ourselves right here between us and reality. And like, we're trying to view the world through this lens. And then all of a sudden we see the cracks in it. But we've invested so much in that. And so when that illusion cracks, like, I think that's what we're really speaking to, is like, it's this, the fact that we've been living in a grand illusion, maybe, or that parts of our, reality have really been corrupted and are not here really for our individual advancement. They might appear that way, and many may have benefited from that, but I don't know, it's just a system that's really kind of got to the end of its rope that has siphoned up all the way to the top. And then, as you said, we've got the younger generation down the bottom realizing that, well, that dream isn't a reality anymore. And did it serve? Does it serve? But the illusion of, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the illusion is really what I took from what you shared there. Shall we go into watch this second clip? We wanted to show of Kyle's, because I think something else that he speaks to is grief and hope. And I think there are really powerful pieces for us to discuss next.
Sounds good.
Are powerful, and it is dominating right now. The Schumann resonance is the thing that measures Earth's frequency and what frequency we're going to. And July 7th, when they announced there's no Epstein list, which, by the way, was such an extreme different thing than if they just kept gently covering it up. Because at least if they kept covering it up and not saying anything, we would have at least had hope to grab onto that eventually it would come to light. But when they said there's no Epstein list, every human being could feel that's not true. So once they said that, all of a sudden we let go of our hope and started finding ourselves. Because July 7th, they said that. And July 8th, the Schumann resonance went through the roof. It was almost as if the earth spoke up and said, no more. And all humanity went, oh, I'm done giving my power to authority. I'm not giving my power to a politician to save the day. I'm done trusting that someone outside of me. It's suddenly a release that is out of your control of handing that authority to someone else and finally going, the whole world mirrors me. It's painful for a second and then really powerful if you receive it. And no matter how much you negotiate with it, eventually you're going to start to see the evidence that the whole world mirrors you. And you will start to see, my frequency can't be stopped. And when I try to stop my own frequency, I'm exhausted. And I'm just here to let it do its own surgery on me and take the false self out and help me to receive a whole new life and a whole new world. Because I can't move into the other world if the rest of the world is secretly suffering. It's time for me to understand that I'm here to open my heart. I'm here to receive. I'm here to receive a magical world. So I'm not only here to receive an amazing, abundant life and the car I want and success. I'm here to receive a healed planet. I'm here to receive a world that's not based on lies. I'm here to receive a world that's not based on shame or addiction or repression or blackmail. I'm here to receive a new planet, and the world mirrors me. So more and more, as I feel triggered by someone or something, that's a gift. That's a gift to show me what I still don't like in myself. And it's here to be allowed here. It's here to be allowed. I don't like that in myself, but I am here to bring love to it. I am here to bring presence to it. I'm here to bring listening to it. When you feel shame in your body coming up, don't control it. When you feel guilt in your body coming up, don't control it. Don't go, why is this here? I got to do something. No, let it come up. Imagine the old world is just coming up. Let it kick and scream, and you just keep allowing. It's scared. It's scared it won't be loved. Everyone's going to hate it. No one's going to like me. I don't know what to do. Let it just show up in your body. And you hold a presence right here for it. Allow it to come up. Say, I'm allowing, because you, shame, aren't me. You're what I learned in my family. You're my guilt. You're my old story. You're me from the 90s or the 80s, and I needed you to achieve things in an older consciousness that wasn't about truth, but was about achieving, was about entrepreneurialism, was about making things happen. You can still achieve, but let God achieve through you. Let your business be built through you. Let Source create with you. Let yourself receive what it has for you. Let go of the past and future and let yourself feel what's here right now.
Yeah, I just loved every single thing that he said in there. Like, that just is like the music to my soul. I love the way that he says that, the world mirrors me. We've talked about that a few times, that what we do see out there as the challenging things to witness, that we have those emotional reactions to, the thing that we feel, the trigger we feel, what arises, being able to be with those feelings in a way that we allow them to move through us. We don't repress them. We don't try to then, as he spoke to a lot there, turn to things that are addictive to not feel our feelings. That is how we're actually doing something with what we're seeing. As when we're having these situations like these, there's no list come out and we feel that visceral reaction. We want to feel all of those feelings. We want them to come up. The world is the mirror. The world mirrors me. It is this reflection of what I see out there. I hold in me. If I'm willing to see it, I'm able to put that back out as a mirror and a reflection for our collective, something else, a healed version of me, a place where I don't hold lies, where less lies can be held, less guilt can be held, less shame, because that's what's keeping us stuck in that old paradigm. There's always ways of thinking. It keeps the structure of people covering things up for their own gain. It keeps it in place. So when we feel those things, we want to be with them fully, be with them completely, allow ourselves to release them because they are coming up because of the frequency shift we're going through. And they naturally want to, or they naturally will. So the more we can be with them, the more we're allowing that to clear. And then we can reflect back, seeing that in another. And I think that's the most challenging at times as part of the spiritual path is being able to hold that love and compassion and that higher frequency when you see someone else deep in their pain, their wounds, their wounding, acting from that, but holding that higher vibration when you see them rather than vilifying them and holding them in their darkness. So even as I say that, we're seeing these people covering up truth, telling us lies. How can we also see them and hold within ourselves not hate, not you bastards, that or anger? We can want to feel the anger, but can we move that into something that's constructive or even like up to hope or even to, something even more neutral to bring us out of those darker energies and those darker places? Can we see the possibility in the fact that there is a cover up? Can we move into that higher perspective that gives us the ability to hold that higher frequency so that we can actually move forward and in an energetic sense, even from a mental sense, we can think different possibilities. We can imagine different possibilities. We can actually even imagine those different actions we would take when we can move out of those lower shame, fear, hate, disgust, rage, and turn that into that take those couple of steps up to then let that be fuel for the fire, mirror back that this is a time of potential. This is a time, as he keeps saying, of like, this is it. Like we can take a massive step from this because we've felt the feeling. We realize that's a lie. We can lean into, okay, this isn't truth. I have a clear sense of what is and isn't truth. I'm going to follow the path of truth. What do I do when I do that? How do I treat other people? How can I be around others in that way, in that vibration, so that they can have an experience of lies and truth, and be moving into that themselves?
Right. Yeah, I think that you said a lot there. And what came to mind or popped into my head was, I think from the old paradigm of black and white, it's like us having conversations about Aubrey Marcus and Mark Gaffney. The old model is black and white, that, they're either good or they're bad. We're criticizing them or assessing them or evaluating them. So we must believe that, we must have like animosity or anger or hatred in our hearts towards them. Whereas, can we do both, right? Can we call out what we see, what we're experiencing, what we're feeling, and also still hold a higher vision for these human beings, right? Like, I think that we said it before on the last episode, or I said it, or one of us said it, that we talked about this in our first episode, but we found so much hope in seeing the comments towards this whole situation was that people were recognizing distortion and they were coming at it in what felt to me like a loving and compassionate way, and which I think is very different from the old way of I see something I don't like, and I'm going to project my unexamined wounds on you. And but no, like the people here are coming from a place of, not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, not any of us are going to be, but I've done my own. I see my blind spots. I know where this could be coming, and this isn't necessarily my stuff per se. And so where I'm going with this is that I like to look at these actors playing these darker roles as they stepped into these roles to play a big part in our awakening process, to trigger us into recognizing where we've given our power away, where we aren't loving ourselves and therefore not loving each other. And so like I went through this experience once. I was like listening about Marianne Williamson, A Course in Miracles. It was like 2008. And there was this exercise of like examining the politician that you do not like, or someone, a public figure that you think is evil. And it's like, how do you send them love? And recognizing that there are souls that agreed to come and like be the villain in the play. And when you look at it like that, it's I look at my, from a zoomed out perspective, I see my life is that I'm a soul that came here to have this experience, to play some role, to do something, and everyone here is the same. And so I think it takes some time to get to that place. Like I definitely went through my own process of, you see this darkness and you're angry. You go through the processes of grief, the stages of grief, essentially.
Yeah.
But then when you're able to get beyond that and you can see that, no, not everyone is all good or all bad. Some are playing a role that has more quote unquote evil associated with their role. But we're all here for this process of ascension and like that's what's happening right now, this process of ascension and evolution. And so we're getting there through seeing the collective shadow. It's triggering the shadow within us. And instead of suppressing that, ignoring it, just pushing it down, if we're doing our healing work, we are transmuting those energies within us. And so what's happening out here is really an opportunity to allow those feelings to come up within us, to do something within us. And then we are raising our frequency, and we're contributing to this collective Schumann resonance, like huge spike, right? Like, so we are, it's really for us. And so, even I feel like our conversation last week about Mark Gaffney, we're doing it because the truth needs, in order to heal, the truth needs to be revealed. And, Aubrey published a piece about othering, and it could be viewed as that, like, we're sharing this because we want to other someone, we want to put someone in a box. But really, until we are able to see if truth is being hidden, like it's what Kyle was saying is like, it needs to come forth. And what did he say? Not truth will be suppressed by truth, versus truth being suppressed by not truth, which is what has been happening on a large scale for a really long time. And that's the shift that we're going through right now.
And I think what you're really speaking to there is exactly like, our conversation last week can be viewed in many ways of like, why are you having that conversation? Where are you coming from? What's your angle? And yes, like as we have gone through on this path of having these types of conversations, it's been in my mind and the awareness of like, where are we coming to them from? Because there's a great saying that Paul Selig says, or his guides speak to, it's that fear seeks to create more fear. So when we are coming at things or from a fear-placed conversation, we speak into that fear, we're staying in that vibration of fear, we're perpetuating that. And there is a way to come at conversation and these kinds of topics from a place that feels like, I'm going to say the word love, and that doesn't mean I sit here and I'm having this like bubbling joy of love to have this conversation about someone who does atrocious things to other people, but we're doing it from a place of wanting to, it just makes me think, if we don't have these conversations, if you don't see these things, you are in a limited little box with your head in the sand, thinking everything's fine, not knowing the power that you hold or the truth that really lives within you. I find it hard to say, like that you're coming from love when you're speaking about challenging things, but it is like, it's an intention, it's in a vibrational place to hold. And as we, go through what we're going through, as we're seeing what we're seeing, as we're being confronted with all these challenging things, we can see them from this perspective. We can see them from a different vibration. We can talk about them. We can share about them so that we can free ourselves from them, is where I really wanted to go with that. Because if we don't see things, as you've taught me, if we don't speak to them, if we look at something, and in my case would be look at it, oh, I don't like it, let's not go there. There's like, I hold that in my field by me ignoring it because I don't want to see it. So I pretend it's not there, but it exists until I'm willing to take my hand away, look at it, feel the feelings that come up in me, all that discomfort, allow myself to be with it and let it move through me. And then it doesn't have the same charge. So that is the feeling of healing that we're going through. That is the process, is, have these conversations, face these challenging topics, feel how that shifts things within you so that you are not holding the energies in space by ignoring them, or just like numbing out and distracting, because that is the evolutionary process we're going through, and that is the ascension process we're going through. We have to be the willing participant by giving ourselves the space, the opportunity to see it, feel it, heal it, rinse, repeat. Like, unfortunately, that is the really uncomfortable part about this time, is we're just going to keep getting bombarded. And you said it before, for some it's going to be harder and harder the more we ignore. So can we start to really look at things, hold them? What does this bring up in me? Like, it's just this constant, like, cleaning out the cupboard, cleaning out the emotional baggage, cleaning out the past, cleaning out the programming, the stories, all of it. It's, how do we free ourselves up to experience something else, see from a different perspective, think about different options, ways that we can be living, and start to take that action from those places.
Yeah, well said. And what I want to talk about, kind of expand upon what he was talking about. Love used to be associated with kindness and niceness. And what that makes me think of is people pleasing and, in a way, shape shifting who we truly are, like on a personal level, to be liked. But that's not truly love, right? If we can't be who we are in order to receive love, that's not truly love. And so that's like a lower, like a shadow version of what we believe love to be. And really, I think we've talked a lot about living in our greatest authenticity, like living by our soul design, living who we came here to be, which is been repressed and squashed down, like through how we've grown up, most of us. And so love and truth is now excavating who we truly are and living in alignment with who we came here to be. And that means truth at the, valuing truth over being liked, in order to receive a sense of love from externally. And really, that's an inside. We have to love ourselves. And if we do love ourselves truly, we no longer have to do things to receive it externally. And so that's essentially the work, the process that we are here to go through at this point in time, and what that looks like. For me as a parent, it's like, what are the ancestral ways? And even if we're not a parent, like, what are the ways that we've learned to abandon ourselves for others? And, or what are the patterns and imprints that have been perpetuated out of kindness and niceness, keep things in the dark, right? These are all things that are coming up right now to be healed. Yeah. So future generation, like in the future generations, like those lies are no longer going to be able to persist, right? We're learning new ways of interacting with each other in terms of boundaries, in terms of, and so it's both this slow evolution that's happened, right? Like, I feel like our generation has learned different ways of being relative to our parents' generation, and the generations behind us. They're like, I can speak to like my kids, and their generation is a completely different energy, right, than what we've come up in, and so their sensitivity is so different, and so we can't, like, I can't parent my kids like they're teaching me how to, like, they're such great teachers for me in terms of becoming aware of my own emotions, where I just like suppressed them, ignored them, didn't realize that I needed to tend to them. And so anyways, point being, the difference between that lower part of the spiral of what we believed love to be, and now love is no longer staying quiet at the expense of being nice in so many areas of life. Epstein being like the big collective example, but it's like, where in our own personal lives, ways of being, are we equating love with niceness and at the expense of truth?
Yeah. And I remember someone once saying to me, the truth will set you free. And she had spoken to that from the perspective of a divorce she'd just been through, and what it meant for her to share her true feelings with her husband and her experience. And it was to hear her say that at that time in my life. I remember how powerful it sounded. And also at the time, I didn't fully understand how true or what that feels like when the truth sets you free. And also how loving that is too, because truth is loving, right? It is the highest form of love. And I love the distinction that he made of the love that we've been in as being kindness, but there's a sort of suppression there, and it's at the expense of some of the truth that lives underneath that. And yeah, how powerful it is that we're moving into a time of where love equates to truth, and well, there's your shift for you. Feel that sensation in your physical body of what love feels like with truth. What does that mean for our relationships? What does that mean for the way countries are governed? What does that mean for, the type of world that we live in, if we lived in an honest, truthful world? And I feel like that's also the path to less conflict between people, is if there's truth with love. So I think that's a really powerful place to end with, to just sit with, that thought of what love has been, and really that great distinction of we're moving into such a much more powerful place with that, when truth is really the highest, the gift expression of love. What that feels like for you, what does that mean for you? How can you step into that more? How does that shift things for you within your life and the paradigm that you're living within, and what you want to create for yourself, where you want to go? I think, the challenge always there is how people are going to receive that. But then we're coming back down to the place of kindness and people pleasing. Your truth with love, not your truth with fear or shame or anger. Truth with love, powerful combination.
Yeah. And I'll just say this experience is really the opportunity to, the more that we go inward and ask, what is this showing us? Like, what is it showing me? Is going to make this process so much easier, versus if we want to resist it, we want to, feel all the feelings. But I think that it really is a great opportunity for so much to come to light both on a collective and an individual level. And so I think we can reframe it as such. And, we can be angry that our authorities aren't what we believed them to be. But there comes a time where we have to, as you said at the beginning, take action. And it starts, realizing that we aren't powerless in this situation. And we get to choose something different. So,
yeah. Well, thank you, Amanda, for a great conversation.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll join you in the next episode.